Welcome to Realtyme. So I guess many of you have heard of Realtyme and real-time communication, but not many of you have heard of our real-time communication product. And that is quite by design. We are a private, secure collaboration platform that is a little bit like the proverbial Swiss Army knife. We are providing the essential tools out of one single tool. These tools are exactly doing what they need to do. It is the minimal necessary product that you need in order to be able to do secure private communication. Obviously, you can have also, through the analogy to the Swiss Army knife, you can have a chef knife that is way better for slicing meat. But when it comes to having a knife with which you can do cut and with which you can open a wine bottle at the same time, there is no better thing than a Swiss Army knife. That is exactly where we are. So we are, as I said, a collaboration platform that is extremely focused on privacy, security by design. My name is Frank. After 15 years in the area of mobile enterprise solutions, I am now leading the roadmap of the Realtyme product out of Dubai, which is also our strongest commercial region, the Middle East, because here in the Middle East, we are indeed in the center of this region where privacy and privileged communication, the service that we are providing, is key. Also key to this region is the discussion about data sovereignty. So we are having a solution that is not like many of our competitors produced out of the cloud, but is a solution that is indeed also being able to be deployed on-premise within your own country, within your own data center. During the next couple of minutes, we will be going through these points here. We want to talk a little bit about the challenges about securing decentralized teams, about endpoint computing in the terms of having a secure communication platform. What is the benefits of a decentralized platform such as ours? And last but not least, we want to point out the key Couchbase experience points that we are having and the reasons why we are using Couchbase and why Couchbase is the right solution for us to power our solution. But first, let's delve a little bit more into the market and the challenges that we are facing. When we're talking about our solution and about our market, then there is some key figures that are interesting to be seen. If you look at this slide here, you will see that 75% of the workforce is expecting a hybrid work environment. This is a huge change compared to what we used to know just about 2 years ago, before the COVID pandemic. So before, this 75% was expecting it, but a little percentage of these 75% was really getting it. Now, this 75% is the reality. So this is the key this is one of the key influences. Also, what we have to see is, especially in larger organizations, due to the way how they are acquiring additional information systems by acquiring additional companies, by having so much diverse systems, they are confronted that they have more than one workstream collaboration product. And that in itself is an issue with many of these organizations, because that means that employees from one part of the organization will have difficulties collaborating with employees from another part of the corporation. If they have this kind of break between the systems, that means that they will engage in a third-party system. And if that third-party system is not something that is being provided by the organization itself, that third-party system could very well be one of the two Ws, WeChat or WhatsApp, and be it just for communicating to each other. That in mind, let's have a look at the column in the middle, where we are seeing that 32%, or just shy of a third of the employees, see that security is a key challenge when working from home. On the other hand, that means that 2/3 of the employees are not seeing that. So this could have been the result of two different outcomes. The one is either these 2/3 of the employees, they work in organizations that have a very good environment managed by a UEM system that guarantees the information protection at the same time as it guarantees the privacy of the users, as it guarantees the security of the environment itself. Or, and that is unfortunately more probable, even if we are working here in the IT world, we have a lot of users who are getting their prime information from tools such as Facebook and WhatsApp. And because of that, they will not be scared, or they will not be, they will not have that perception that working from home could indeed be a security risk to the way how their data is being used by the company, and what they are doing, that they could be a very easy point of entry for any kind of attackers that would be challenging, or that would want to get way into the corporation's intellectual property. And that explains that little number of 6.7% of the of users having had a security incident. We know that there is a huge number that is not being reported here. So this number is potentially way higher. Also interesting in this slide is the fact that 40% of the CIOs see that end-to-end encryption is a must-have for mobile collaboration. Obviously, end-to-end encryption is indeed an extremely important point when it comes to secure collaboration. It also means, though, that this is only half of the picture that CIOs are seeing. Because let's again go to one of the two Ws, WhatsApp. They say that they have end-to-end encryption in their communication. Unfortunately, that does not make it private. If I was now to engage to any one of you over WhatsApp in some form of communication, the next day, you or me, we will have a new friend suggestion in our Facebook profile, just because we started to communicate on WhatsApp, which is the proof that WhatsApp communication may be end-to-end encrypted and secure under that circumstance, but is definitely not private communication. And this is really the point where we are coming in with the kind of solution that we are having. Because privacy, as I said initially, is absolutely key to our solution. It is important that only the two or the group of users who are communicating with each other know about this communication, that only these people are having access to the kind of communication that they were having, and that nobody outside of that circle does even know that this kind of communication happened, because that would be a breach of privacy. And let's just imagine if the CEO of General Motors starts to talk to the CEO of Tesla. You will see that the next day the stock market will go crazy if that information is getting out. So even just the information that two people are communicating is absolutely secret, given the right participants in the communication. So this is the reason. This is where we are coming in. Let's delve down a little bit on this, and let's delve down on the key stakeholders when it comes to our solution, respectively our key users, our key customers. On the one hand, that's government organizations. Government organizations, there is some particularities about those. Most importantly, many governments will try to have sovereignty about their data. So they will want to have solutions that they can deploy within the boundaries of their own country. Governments also, which is a very particular point, governments make rules. They don't have necessarily to abide to these same set of rules. Let's take the concept of legal intercept, which is absolutely key when it comes to communication platforms. We know that legal intercept is a fact in most major communication platforms out here. So when you are communicating over your mobile phone or over the big communication platforms, you can be sure that these are subject to legal intercept, meaning that states can mandate the operators of these solutions to give them copies of whatever communication has happened. Obviously, these kind of governments don't want to do that. They don't want to be exposed to this kind of legal intercept by their own operators. If you get that point. Also, very important for governments in some deployments is that you're having a zero trust network, even going further to a totally air-gapped deployment, where a deployment of a communication platform needs to be totally disconnected from any kind of cloud system or third-party system, but be confined within their own network. Next to that, we have the compliant organizations. They need to be compliant to these regulations that the government issues. They also are very concerned about this concept of legal intercept, not necessarily because they want to hide something from some illegal activities from their own governments, but because they know that there are some state players out here in the world that are using the legal intercept concept to do state-sponsored espionage. So if you are a large organization who has a lot of intellectual property to defend, then you need to have an absolutely secure and private communication platform. They are subject to this kind of compliance regulations. Let's take banks in many countries who have the regulatory requirement to host all customer data within the state boundaries. And obviously, if you are engaging with your customers through any kind of information system, that will generate customer data. So this needs to be within the state boundaries. Key influencers and key users are our governance teams with the CISO, with the data protection officer, who care a lot about two concepts that sometimes seem to be contradictory. But if you're doing it right, then you can bring it all under the same umbrella. And that is information protection on the one hand, and data protection such as GDPR on the other side. Those are the ones who are very much interested in eradicating any kind of shadow IT in their organizations by introducing secure collaboration software platforms such as ours to eradicate the use of WhatsApp or WeChat in their organizations. So that's the reasons why they want to do it. And obviously, even if we are not a competitor to WhatsApp, when it comes to ease of use, when it comes to functionality, we are measured to solutions such as WhatsApp. If we cannot hold up to that bar, if we cannot reach that same level, the usage of our solution in these organizations will be very limited, and the government's team, they will not reach their goal that they want to achieve. Last but not least is the security-aware people. These are either information protection specialists, that's more our crowd, but it is also nowadays more and more the ultra VIP, the people that are targeted by solutions such as Pegasus. I guess you have all read the news and you know what that is. So these people, they are very much interested in having a secure solution. They are also very much interested in having an absolutely private solution because they do not want to share any private information like the addresses and the phone numbers of their family members with the organization that they are working with, because they know that this kind of separation is absolutely key to the security of these people. They would want to be able to communicate in the same secure way with their family than with other members of their organization. So that is the reason why we came up with this concept of closed circles, where as a user, you have the possibility to create a closed circle in which you put members in that they are then able to communicate directly with each other, but that they will not see other contacts from other areas of the organization. So this is and this is also again coming back to the government's team, because they have the same need. They want to control as much as possible the information flow and want to make sure that classified information, the kind of information that is being shared over platforms such as ours, is only limited to the groups that are indeed authorized to receive that. And that can be done by designing this kind of circles and to make sure that the information only circles within such a circle. Wow, that was a lot of circles in one sentence. Let's have a little bit more look at how our solution looks. These are actual screenshots of our solution. As you can see, that I said, is we are focusing on this concept of circles where you can organize your contacts, be it as an individual, but also as an organization. You can organize the contacts, and by organizing the contacts, you can organize and manage the information flows. We are having a solution to collaborate efficiently. So collaboration in our days is not just chatting, is not just having video conferences, it is also the possibility of doing some on-work like sharing documents, sharing other information, sharing media through the solution. It is also going into the way that when you're doing some collaboration, that you might want to be able to share your location. This could be very relevant in not necessarily in an enterprise setup, but more in a government setup or in a security enforcement setup, where a field agent wants to share his actual location with his engaging officer, so that the engaging officer knows where he is, and if there is some deviation from the agreed plan of where he should be going, then the engaging officer knows that something is wrong. So this is a security feature. At the same time, as I said before, we are centered about privacy. Never with our solution will the engaging officer be able to just request the solution, the location. It needs always to be shared in the first hand by the end user. Now, this is not something extremely different from all the other solutions. One thing that is different is really the way how we can control this kind of functionality. Again, with the creation of the circles, these can be tied to a corporate organization through something like Active Directory integration. We have a central console in which you are able to manage all the features and all the functionality on the corporate devices. And not only on the corporate devices, also on the private devices that users are using to use the solution to communicate. And that is absolutely key. Our solution is available on any device. We are supporting Mac OS, Windows, Linux, yes, Linux, iOS, and Android. So wherever you have the need to communicate, you can do it securely. And if you still think that you can do secure communication while using a web browser, well, I would invite you to think twice. How are we doing this? I'm throwing in here the buzzword of edge computing. We are indeed following the same principle, where we want to have all the computing, all the information only on the endpoints. So what does that mean? A user that is sending an information to another user will have ensured that this information is, with our cryptographic technologies, only being readable by the recipient. There will be a secure copy on any of the devices of the recipient and on any of the devices of the sender. Yes, you can have multiple devices in our solution, up to 3 devices per user, typically a smartphone, a tablet, and some kind of laptop or desktop computer. And these will all have this information. They will have the information, and they will also have access to the key material to decrypt that information. How does it reach from recipient? How does it reach the recipient? Well, obviously we have some kind of a backend. We are not using peer-to-peer communication because we want to be able to control certain aspects. So what we are doing here is we are having our backend solution that is routing this kind of information. Within that backend, and that is where we are also using the Couchbase technologies. In this backend, we only have and we will only manage encrypted information. So a file that is being shared between sender and recipient, it is encrypted. It will be stored as a transient information within the Couchbase database until the recipient has downloaded this information, has successfully decrypted the information, and that's the moment when we will remove the information from the Couchbase backend. This is so that we can control the information flow. This is so that we control that all the information is only on the endpoints, which is extremely key, because that means that there is no central point of storage where an attacker can get every information of an organization. We are making sure that information is private by keeping a total segregation between the information within the app and outside information. Control of information is absolutely key to our solution. So the messages that are being synchronized, we making sure with the kind of cryptography that we are using, that the information is absolutely private on the one hand. We are making sure that the information is unaltered, and we are making sure that the information is authentic, because no information is worth anything if you do not know whether the originator of the information is indeed the person that you think that he is. So this is the point. We are having some kind of security framework where we are doing both on-device security and central security management by policies, where we can enforce certain aspects of the solution, such as whether the users are allowed to copy information from within the app and paste it into outside the app. We can have the default things like making sure that the application goes into screen lock and needs to have security code before it can be used again, with with levels of password protection, etc., etc. Obviously, we also can do emergency actions through the same mechanisms, and remotely delete the content of a device which is absolute not a device, just the app, because we are not administrator of the device. We don't care about the device. We only care about data within our app. And we have the on-device security, which is even better. It is in-app security, where we are detecting any kinds of tampering with the application that could be a breach of information protection, like a debugger, like a jailbreak, and which time we would deny execution of the application, and by this make sure that the information contained within the application remains inaccessible. We can also, we are protecting all the information on the device with data encryption at rest, and making sure that all the key material is stored only in a secure environment. So this is how we are producing this kind of security. So you can imagine that we have a lot of challenges when we are looking at how we are doing this kind of things. And this is exactly where we are coming in to the point of how Couchbase supports us in the way how we are doing business. The three key points that are absolutely supporting our business is the way how Couchbase ensures availability and fault tolerance. Couchbase is an extremely mature solution. We do not have any issues in the way how we are using Couchbase with availability, crashes of the platform or whatsoever. It is extremely mature, extremely stable, which gives us already a highly available solution out of the box. But you can imagine our customers will want to have multi-site replication. There, many times we are talking about having a high availability main site with a disaster recovery site. So this is the reason why we are using also Couchbase. It allows us to distribute copies of the required information in the way how we need it for the availability of our solution. So we are using XDCR for the high availability setup. We are using the possibility of defining per information category how many copies of that information must be available over the installation. Ease of use is also absolutely key. We are using iOS, we are using Android, we are programming in Go, Java, C++, just to name some of the languages that we are using. And key to this is the possibility of integrating Couchbase into these languages and accessing Couchbase from these languages extremely easily, extremely powerful. Also with the SQL language that allows us to search directly for JSON elements. This is one of the key elements that we are looking for in Couchbase, and that we have not found in other products as easily. And last but not least, you can imagine we are having solutions that range between 500 users for a very limited set of users in a very, very important people setup, so very small systems. We also have 50,000 users on the same system. We have a cloud system. So Couchbase enables us from its architecture, but also from its flexibility to go in all these different installation setups without having to change radically the architecture. This kind of scalability and this kind of possibility that we can drive this kind of replication and the power of searching the information in the database, be it on a small system or in an extremely large system, every time with the same technology, this is a key winning factor for Couchbase. Thank you very much for your attention. I will be happy now to answer your questions that we will be seeing here in the chat. Thank you so much for your time.